TBD, and today I'm going to be talking about something pretty heavy but extremely important in football: contracts. What is a contract? Contracts can sometimes be extremely complex to understand, especially for the non-legal mind. However, I'm going to try and break things down as simple as I possibly can. Now, for a valid contract to exist, we need an offer, acceptance, consideration, and an intention to create legal relations. Now, don't worry about all these terms because, as I said, I'm going to try and break things down in simple terms using examples in football. One thing you do need to bear in mind is any failure to perform any of the terms of a contract could lead to what we call a breach of contract. So what is an offer? An offer is a promise to do something or refrain from doing something. So either to do or not to do something at a future date. So as an example, we have a footballer called Akin. We have a football club called Lekki United. Lekki United would like to employ Akin to play for the club. They would present him with a list of promises, and these are basically things that they plan to do for him if he accepts the offer. So this is them just saying, we are interested in you playing for our club. This is what we can offer you. We'd be interested in hearing from you. And that is an offer. So now we know what an offer is. What's an acceptance? It might sound obvious, and it sure is. You've been made an offer. Now it's up to Akin to read through that offer and make sure that he's happy with everything that's been promised. And then he can go back and say, yes, I like that. I am going to accept that. When he does that, they have an agreement. There is no contract at that point. An offer plus an acceptance is just an agreement. Now, I don't want to complicate things, but I just wanted to let you know there's something else that we call a counter offer. And this is where, for instance, Akin has been made an offer of 500,000 naira every month, but then he thinks that Lekki United should be able to pay him 1 million naira. So he goes back to Lekki United and says, I don't want 500,000, I want 1 million. So he's making a counter offer. Now, a counter offer legally actually voids the original offer. So the club could actually come back and say, no, we can't offer you 1 million and we've revoked the offer. So Akin is back to square one. Or they could say, well, yeah, okay, we think you may be worth 1 million, so, we'll pay you the 1 million. Or they could say, okay, let's try 750. So even though it legally voids the original offer, in practice, it rarely does happen in football. There's usually a process of negotiation where there's a bit of to and fro in, and eventually they'll come to an agreement on exactly how much the player should be paid. And if they don't, then, it just falls apart and everybody goes about their business. So now I've gone through what an offer is, what acceptance is. An offer plus acceptance is an agreement, but then what actually makes it a contract? So we move on to the third element of a contract, which is consideration. So consideration is when something of value is promised for the action or the non-action. Think about it in simple terms as a promise for a promise, or scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. The exchange of consideration creates a burden and a benefit for each party to the contract. So let's use the same example we used with Akin and Lekki United. So for Lekki United, the benefit to them is the fact that Akin is going to be playing for them and hopefully helping them to win trophies. But the burden to them is the fact that they would have to pay him a salary. They would have to pay him the 500,000 or the 1 million that was agreed in the contract. So you can see there's a benefit and a burden to Lekki United. Now looking at Akin's side, there'll be a benefit to him because he'll be receiving a salary. He'll be receiving the 500,000 or the 1 million that has been agreed in the contract. But at the same time, he's got the burden of having to wake up in the morning to go for training, which is probably sometimes inconvenient for him. He may have to play games around Christmas when his friends and his family are partying. He may have to travel for away games and leave family. So that's the burden for him. So for consideration to exist, there's got to be a benefit and a burden to each party to the contract. So now we've had a look at offer, acceptance, and consideration. Now, even if all three were present, it still wouldn't create a contract unless there was a clear intention to create legal relations. In order to explain this, I'm going to use a short analogy about family, because there is a presumption that when families have an agreement, there isn't an intention to create legal relations. So let me give you an example. Your mum has sent you to the market to go and buy some meat. She's promised to give you 1,000 naira on return. You don't really want to go because you'd rather be playing with your friends, but you think, 1,000 naira, yeah, that's good. So your mum has made you an offer. Go to the market and buy me some meat and I will give you 1,000 naira. You have thought about that offer and thought, yeah, I know what I can do with that 1,000. So I'm going to take that offer. I'm going to accept it. You've accepted this offer. So now you and your mom have an agreement. Consideration for your mom, there's the burden of having to give you that 1,000 naira, but the benefit of getting the meat for her soup. For you, there's the burden of having to probably leave your friends and maybe other things you're planning to do that day to go to the market. But then you have the benefit of receiving that 1,000 naira. So there's a clear benefit and burden for each parties of the contract, which is you and your mom. However, the question is, did you actually intend to create legal relations with your mom to go shopping for her? Did you plan to go into a legally binding agreement with her to go and buy meat for her? The presumption would be no, because it's a family arrangement. Whereas when it's with a football club, it's a business arrangement. So the presumption would be, yes, you have created or intended to create legal relations. Now, for this final element to be satisfied, the parties must intend to go into a legally binding arrangement where the rights and obligations are enforceable. So with the arrangement with your mum, we have an offer, we have an acceptance, we have consideration, but we don't have the fourth element, which is the intention to create legal relations. So unfortunately, you can't take your mom to court and sue her for 1,000 naira. Whereas with a club, you would have the offer, the acceptance, the consideration, and the intention to create legal relations. And that is the reason why you can enforce this with FIFA if there's any breach of the contracts. I know this has been a little bit complex and it's probably gone over your head. I really hope you have learned something from it. However, I would advise you to probably go over it again and again and again until you get it. And as I always say, please send me an email if you have any questions. Connect with me on social media as well. And don't forget to subscribe. Take care.